Hello and welcome to Storied Sojourns. We are back. And in case it's been a minute since you've seen the last episode, the gang had decided to clean up the Ettin's cave and was able to bed down for the night and recuperate. And during the watch, some strange things occurred at night. Talos, you heard something, you went out to investigate. A combat ensued. You guys found yourselves under attack by strange carapaced creatures. And after defeating them, discovering that these strange giant scorpions were very far from where they would normally be found, number one. They're typically found closer to the coast, rocky coastline, whereas you guys are kind of in the woods and the mountains. And number two, it seems like they've been here a while because their carapace had adopted a grayish kind of tree-like coloring and a texture not unlike bark, which helped to obfuscate them. And they even had a bit of moss growing upon them. So very kind of odd, yet another strange thing for this area. But you were able to dispatch these foes and return to the caves, bandage yourselves up, heal up, and sleep through the rest of the night. And in the morning, you emerged. A nice sunny day. The sound of morning has arrived. Birds and whatnot chirping. Obstinatus, your two devoted undead children minions are still standing exactly where you told them to be, and that is where we'll pick up. So, what do you guys want to do?
I don't know. Do we have a game plan?
I mean, yeah, we're gonna see the lady that I've heard about. Go wander in the woods, I guess, and find out where she is.
Yeah, that's why we camped out up here.
Talos, you know that she is a bit further up in the hills, in the mountains.
Okay, so she's up. I don't know where, because the mountains are all up, but in one of the ups, we will find her, I think.
Yes.
I think going up is a good choice.
Well, yeah, because we thought down would be good, but down was clearly not the right option, because we just got almost killed again.
Now, you guys, having, gotten your bearings in this area, you know, and part of this is because Skjorn has ranged around the mountain range, that is kind of east of, or on the southeastern side of the lake. So you know that it's a little easier to ascend into the mountains, and that oftentimes you can find, valleys that kind of open up occasionally and paths which can help facilitate climbing. So you pack up your stuff and you begin kind of walking along the edge of the hills until you find one such little valley type opening. And there's like a nice little stream running down from the mountains through this area. And there's space on either side of the stream that's dry where you can kind of walk up and follow that. And you begin kind of ascending and almost, following the stream along these paths as it kind of winds up. And eventually you get up to, about 400 or 500 feet of elevation. And you come to a point where this stream is coming down pretty significantly, like a waterfall from the ice melt. And it's almost a straight shot up another 100 feet. But you see yet another path kind of beyond this on the other side of the waterfall in the stream. So if you want, you could kind of traverse that and get to the other side and continue going up this path.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay.
Is the waterfall... oh, sorry. Can I just... Is the waterfall, like, the kind where if you stepped in it, you'd get, like, swept away? Or is it, like, a more trickling kind of...
It is not that forceful. It's more than just a trickle. It's definitely falls. But you feel like if you had steady footing, you could probably dip into that. Or you could cross, across to the other side without being as close to the waterfall if you were concerned about like slipping.
I hate to sound a little cocky, but I am pretty good with water, so if something did happen, we would probably be fine.
Okay, good, because I want to go do that thing. You know when cats are in the bathroom and they're in with the sink and you turn it on and they turn their head and they go like that and they drink out of it?
Yes.
I want to try doing that.
You are amazed at how clear and cold and refreshing this water is. It is just ice melt from the mountains. It's just splendid. You feel like refreshed.
Okay, now we're good to cross.
20 temporary hit points. No, just kidding. You are refreshed, and you could even fill. If you fill your water skins, you would be very pleased. The water's it's just like pure ice mountain water.
Awesome. Well, we can cross now if you want to. That's all I wanted to do.
Okay. Let me see. Are you guys going in a specific order? Like, there's enough room where you could all cross at the same time, but or I didn't know if you had like a specific kind of marching order up this path.
If you're good with water, then maybe you should be last.
That's what I was gonna say.
Somebody falls down.
I am a Triton, so hopefully I'd be able to get somebody if they fell. And if I couldn't, I'd feel pretty bad about myself.
Okay. So who's crossing first?
I'll do it.
Okay. Make an athletics check. It's an easy difficulty 10.
Athletics, you say?
Yes.
That is a 24.
Yeah, you just epically cat pounce across the rocks. You barely even get wet. Who's up next?
DJ.
I'll go ahead.
Skjorn, you're comfortable with this sort of thing as well. Go ahead, make a athletics check.
Oh, jeez. Nine.
Your hoof slips on one of the damp rocks and you splash into the water. And it's got some pull, but not enough to pull you down. You get up and you continue sloshing through, and you get to the other side. You're pretty much soaking wet. Okay, Skepsi.
All right. Be warned, guys. I have not the best prowess with these kind of athletic abilities.
Alright, I'll be on standby.
Don't worry, I'll catch you.
A nice 8.
You slip and get wet. You're soaked, and it's cold, but you're like, okay, you get to the other side and you're like, okay. And you, Obstinatus.
All right. That's an 18.
You easily start to walk across. Now I need you to make me another roll for the first zombie child. Just tell me what the D20 is.
Okay. 15.
Wow. Even with its significant minus, it makes it. It's trudging. The first zombie child's trudging through the water following you. Roll for the second one.
All right, here we go. That's a 9.
Splash, drift, drift, drift,
Can I get him?
drift. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, you could go back and grab him.
I'm gonna go grab him.
Okay. You kind of grab him by the shirt and lift him out of the water, and drag him across, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. You do.
Okay.
Nothing like the smell of a waterlogged corpse.
Yes.
Do you have names for them yet?
Well,
They're-
I'd like to know what their actual names are. You know?
Are you gonna go ask their mother?
You know what you could do? You could have Arya cast Speak with Dead. Oh, rip! You can't do that. Quang quang.
You can just make up names for them though.
No Speak
Until we
with Dead.
until we find out their real names.
Husk 1 and Husk 2.
No. What? We gotta come up with like good names for them.
Is it a
guys.
boy and a girl, right?
Yes. So you guys are on the other side, and this path is kind of rocky. There are trees, growing along the mountains, so it's kind of winding through, and you're making good time. And you continue to follow this path. It kind of splits off in a couple directions. Those of you who have proficiency in survival, make a check.
Natural 20.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, +8, so 28.
So this is how clutch that is. When the paths split off, you actually notice footprints, like bare human footprints, not boots, not shoes, and they seem to be walking up from this little spot where there's like water trickling down into a pool, and it's like you even see some like drips of water as if maybe there was a bucket or a skin that had been filled, and the steps lead up this dirt path.
Hey, look, I found some footprints. I don't
Alright.
know who they belong to, but maybe it's the witch lady.
I say we go.
Agreed.
Okay. You continue walking up this path, following these footprints, and you get to kind of a plateau area where the path kind of opens up. Now, there's like a valley that you look down on, and it's not like a steep drop-off. There's trees growing on the hill going down, but there's like a valley in one direction, and then there's more mountains that continue to rise up. But this little plateau area of flattened area seems to have been cleared, and you actually see a few tree stumps that look like they've been cut down for quite a while. And in the distance, about 50 yards away, you see a very simple, like, wooden cottage. And it basically looks like it's built by one person, maybe. Like there's a lot of like uneven boards, and there's, branches that are kind of nailed into parts of it. And along the way, on the path leading to this little wooden cottage, on the tree stumps, you see little like carvings, like little stone, very, very primitive kind of like stone humanoid figures are carved, and they're set on these tree stumps. And you see there's a little bit of smoke coming from the very small cottage, like from the chimney.
Can I go examine the stone figures?
Yes. You can make a religion check if you'd like.
Dope. I like the artistry.
They are very much in the traditional folkloric style of stone carving that is common to the people of the South.
It's a 19.
19?
Yes.
Excellent. You are able to identify quite a few things. For starters, the first one that you come across is a depiction of Peshwick, the Earth Goddess. It's kind of like a rounded female form, and the carving has its arms like cradling something as if for an offering. And you see two little twigs of what looks like wheat that have been placed in its arms, like almost like a prayer offering type of thing.
Pretty cool.
You go to another one of the depictions, and this one is kind of strange because it's actually two-sided. And as you kind of walk around it, I assume you're not like picking these up, but like as you're kind of studying it, on one side it's very much like a male depiction with like a pointy, what's supposed to be like a beard. And then on the other side, it's like a female depiction. And you feel like maybe this could be a depiction of the god Katergaris, the two-faced god. And then a little bit closer as you're kind of proceeding up this path, there's another stone carving. And this one kind of looks like a humanoid body, but with a more of like a skull face. Like there's eyes that are kind of carved out that go a little bit deeper, and the features on the face are carved more to look like a skull. As you guys are approaching, you hear a creaking from the door, and you see the door kind of open, and you see like the gray, like long stringy gray hair kind of peer out, and you see a woman who looks out, and the hair is kind of covering her face, but you could see like the lower part of her face, and she looks like she's older, and she's looking out, and she says, "Who is there? Who comes to see me?"
Hello. It's just us, some travelers.
Just little old me.
Travelers, what brings you to these parts of the mountains?
Well, a lot of weird stuff has been happening, and I heard a long time ago that there was somebody who lived up in these hills who knows about weird stuff, so I figured that's probably you.
Have you brought foods?
I mean, we have food. We also have 2 small child corpses.
So you see when you say that, she like ducks back into the house, and you hear her from inside. She's like, "Come in, but leave the dead outside."
Okay. I'm gonna tell the 2 children who are yet to be named, just to vibe out here for a minute.
Heal, boy, heal.
They stop walking and they sit there. Do you guys go into the cottage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You go in, and a strange mixture of smells hits you. One part is just things being cooked, right? Like you smell some kind of stew being made with spices in it, and you see this little cauldron kind of bubbling over a cooking fire near in the fireplace. The other smell is a incense. There's like a little cradle with incense burning on this table. And the third smell is pretty much body odor. And the old woman just smells like a sack of onions. Her hair, her long stringy gray hair is still hanging down in her face, and she gestures around and she's like, "Come sit. Soon the stew will be ready. You can share your foods as well."
Thank you, ma'am.
And you notice that she kind of shuffles over and she grabs this iron hook and pulls the cauldron off of the spit and sets it down on some rocks near the fire. And she wafts some smell up and she says, yes, it will be ready soon. It must cool. She comes over and she sits down. She grabs like this wooden walking stick and she sits down in front of the table and she says, well, what gifts did you bring?
I have
what
some
would you like?
tea. I have some tea from my house.
Splendid tea, yes. We would love some tea.
Who's we? Are you by yourself?
All of us here.
Oh, okay.
She points over near the fireplace and she says, there are cups on the shelf. Would you be a dear? And she points and you see some very basic cups. They look like they're all like handmade out of clay, basically. They're all like lumpy. But you grab a few cups and pour her some tea and she smells it and she's like, and she sips it. And what about the Keeper of the Dead? And you notice she doesn't look directly at Obstinatus, but she doesn't look directly at Obstinatus, but she kind of like looks in the direction.
Well, ma'am, we'd like to ask you a question about the sort of orb we have. Would you know anything about it? And so I like hold it up and show.
What orb? What does it look like?
Well, I hold it up and I show it to her.
She says, very strange. Pass it over to us. And she holds out her hands.
Are you sure?
For previous experiences, the first time one holds it, you may suffer a bit of a mental hallucination, as it were.
She kind of like cocks her head when you're speaking, as if she's listening intensely to you. And she says, what color is it? Now, you're holding this thing out, but she's not looking at it. She's kind of has her head turned sideways as if she's trying to listen to it. And she says, what color is it?
Black.
Black is its color. And what do you see inside?
Well, it depends on... Well, if you mean what do you see inside, as in like what we saw when we picked it up, it was different for each of us.
And what did you see, Keeper of the Dead?
Well, I saw Narrowstemma, which is where I'm from. Which is a little spooky.
When you say that, she sniffs the air. And she's like, you are a Triton.
I am.
And she kind of turns her head and she says, did all of you touch this thing?
Yes.
She sniffs the air again and she says, Leonin, what did you see?
I don't feel comfortable sharing. Why do you need to know what we saw?
She nods and she's like, that is fine. There is a damp Minotaur in my cottage. What did they see?
My former employer's name.
The soup should be ready. And she gets up again and she goes over and she brings the She grabs the little metal crook and she puts the whole pot of stew on the table and she sits down and she says, "Be a dear and bring us some bowls and spoons, would you?" And she points again to those shelves.
I could go get them.
Not you.
I'm sorry, did I do something to offend you?
No. The other one. The other one who came in. Not the Minotaur. And not the Leonin.
Okay. I will go and fetch the utensils.
And the rest of you guys see that while Skepsi gets up to go do this, the old woman kind of smiles and nods, and she says, "Very good. Grab the ladle as well, if you would." You grab a bunch of bowls and spoons. You ladle out the soup. She takes her soup and she kind of puts her nose above it and sniffs it and blows on it, and the steam kind of goes across the top of it. She sips a little bit and she says, "Yes, just right. Come, you must be hungry traveling through the mountains." And she takes a spoonful and begins eating it.
Thank you.
It is at this point that you notice, because otherwise her hair would be falling into the soup, that when she kind of flips her hair back, you notice that her eyes are a very pale white, as if she's blind. And she continues eating the soup, and she says, excellent. And you, young Satyr, what did you see when you looked inside?
Well, it brought not but an image of father to my head.
And in all of your images, did you see death? And she looks up, and her eyes aren't different. They're still milky and blind, but she looks up at everyone. And her eyes kind of wander around the room. Death, did you see? Awfully silent you are, Leonin. The pain is still too near. The Kamina know. You should all know. Synchron will have his dues. All must die at some point. She goes back to eating her soup. And she says, "Where did you find it?"
It was buried. We had to kind of dig it up a little while back.
Buried? But for how long?
It's a very good question. I wish I had the answer to that.
Did it whisper to you?
Yes.
What does it want?
Where are you going with this?
You ask questions. You seek to understand. I must know what it wants.
Well,
Others will want it.
Why would anyone want it?
And she looks out in the direction of the door leading outside. And she says, "What powers has it granted you thus far, Keeper of the Dead?"
Well, I was able to not bring the children back to life, but I can tell them things to do, which isn't isn't something that I've like always wanted to do. That's not something that, not one of my goals.
Hmm. And yet, you have this thing. Do you not think others would want its power? But such a jealous thing shall not share its power without a price. So I ask again, what does it want?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, to be honest. Well, I know I made out the term unity in Primordial, but if it gives me the power to not order around dead people, but kind of do that, I can't imagine it really wants unity.
You see her eyebrows raise significantly upon you mentioning this. Unity? She continues to finish her soup, and when she's done, she sets the empty bowl down on the table. You seek to know what this is and what to do with it?
That is correct.
You have other questions, and her head turns to Talos. And her head turns to Skepsi. 5 answers I will give you to 5 questions. And in exchange, you will do something for me. A simple task.
And what might this simple task be?
Further up the path, back where the split is, you will lead to a peak upon which is a nest. I require an egg from this nest. That is all. Simply an egg.
We roll inside.
Feel free.
Oh, no. That's 16.
16 is good enough for you to know that she's telling you the truth, that she wants an egg, but that it's probably not a simple task.
Sounds about right.
She says, bring us the egg, and 5 answers you will receive.
Epic.
Okay. I'm okay with this. Are you guys okay with this?
Sure, I love looking for eggs.
Do not be greedy. Just 1 egg. That is all.
Just 1 egg.
Yes, just 1 egg.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And thank you for your stew. It was fantastic.
Which trick?
You are quite welcome. And you see she gets up and walks over to a very mediocre roll of bedding. Very kind of like mottled furs, and she just kind of like lays down on the furs and she says, I will be here when you return.
Okay, thank you.
So you guys go outside, and it's about just after noon, let's say. So there's still plenty of daylight. What do you guys do?
Well, I think we should discuss this a little bit first.
Okay.
I would like to do it, but it sounds pretty sketchy.
Yeah, you can't really take an egg from anything in nature and not upset something, so. She's
Yeah,
probably asking us to kill something and then take the egg.
I don't want to kill anything. There's got to be a way we could, like...
Well, I don't want to
Get
kill
it while
anything.
it's sleeping, maybe entrance it in some way. You could try charming it, and then like while it's like walking or whatever, you could just be boom, run away with this child.
Man, that seems so mean.
Otherwise, we won't get these answers. I can know where babies come from or whatever questions we're trying to.
Yeah, you have a good point. I mean, it would be very helpful to know what this thing is, and it seems like she knows.
Well, let's head down to the split in the path to discuss further. We can consider ways of doing so without having to be too hostile creature. It seems but one egg would not ruin a creature's livelihood, as long as, of course, we are not caught.
Well, I guess it depends on what kind of creature it is. Maybe it's a creature that only has one egg.
Well, she had mentioned to take just the one egg, so I would be inclined to believe that there are many.
It's probably pretty valuable, though, if she said, "Don't be greedy."
Well, I'm sure many people, especially if it's some kind of dangerous or rare creature, they would be inclined to take more. Or some people who have a passion for animal husbandry, and I just look to Skjorn and his swarm of creatures.
From all the fables that I know, I'm pretty sure this is some kind of witch trick, and
Which
she's trying to make sure either we have good morals and we just do everything to the T, and if we skew any way from the plan, then we're screwed, or this is all just a trap to begin with and we're screwed.
It seems like a trap to begin with to me. It's definitely not going to be a simple task, that's for sure.
Yes, but the information of such a wise woman could be very valuable, especially for something like this.
I think we should do it. I just think we should be very careful.
Okay.
Should
Well,
we
this is
scout
gonna
out? We could scout out and like see what they do, and then like what kind of creature it is, and then figure out how to take an egg.
I could send plasma far above to look down and study this egg or creature.
Sounds good to me.
So as you guys are kind of down at the split, Skepsi, you send plasma to fly up to this peak.
Yes.
And it takes a while. Can you perceive through plasma's senses?
I do not believe so, but I do, communicate mind-wise.
Okay.
So,
So mentally, and what's the range on that?
it does not specify.
So plasma comes back, and plasma tells you that way up top, and I mean this takes like a half an hour to fly up there, scout it out, and fly back. Plasma tells you that there is indeed a peak with an outcropping where there's a huge nest, and a cave. It did not see anything in the cave, and in the nest, it saw 5 eggs, and they were all different colors.
Is this gonna be like a dragon or something? I really hope not. I don't know anything about dragons, but does anyone know what kind of an animal would have different colored eggs?
Okay, well, I can't make a nature check. That's already we've established that's out the window, right?
Well, cause I had experience with that one dragon, but I don't think having experience with one dragon makes me an expert.
Would Arcana or History help at all with this?
It could help you to know what kind of creatures live in this area, as could nature. Each of those questions, depending on which skill you use, would reveal a different perspective on that answer.
Alright, well. Hold on, there's treachery going on. I can attempt a history check if the cat will get off the character sheet. Can you please? I can't read my stats. I'm getting bitten to try to get my stats.
Nice paperweight.
15 plus 7. Whatever numbers that is.
And is this for Arcana or History?
History.
Okay. So historically, you know that there are dragons all over Chamenos, but that they tend to range in different areas. They kind of stick to their regions. The last, dragon that you guys had heard of course, was a green dragon that you were able to kind of send away.
Would I be able to... Because I don't know... Can dragons have, like, multiple colored eggs? Like, is that a thing? Would I know that?
That would be an Arcana check.
We'll give it a
I'm
go.
happy to let you try, if you'd like.
Alright, we're giving it a go. Nat 20!
Good job.
Snap.
I mean, I have a -1 for Arcana, so it's 19, but it's a 19.
You feel as if dragon eggs typify the type from which they are spawned. Meaning green dragons typically have green eggs. Now the textures of the eggs, whether they're scaled or not, all of that is variable. But typically the type of dragon lays that type of egg. A black dragon would lay a black egg, a red dragon would lay a red egg, a gold dragon would lay a gold egg, so on.
Do I know what would lay multicolored eggs?
Multiple dragons.
What if it's just like a setup,
So Plasma told you that there were 5 eggs and that they were all different color.
Well,
So
this could be a witch trick. I think Skjorn is not completely out of pocket in that
I mean,
assumption.
these cowbirds here, they lay eggs in other birds' nests, and their egg looks very different. And then the baby outgrows the other babies very quickly, and the mom raises only the cowbird until they outgrow the babies, and then they leave. So I don't know if this is multiple different species' eggs in this, or if it's the same of the same type, or if it could be literally like a dyeing or painting situation, like a Easter, whatever equivalent that would be in this universe.
So Plasma told you that there were 5 different colored eggs.
Epic. So I'll ask him, you didn't notice any creature or evidence of a creature, did you?
Cave, but no eggs, but no creatures.
Understandable. Well, I believe that it would be best if we want to avoid some kind of massacre of a creature if we attempt to sneak up in some manner or fashion.
Well, if no one can figure out what this thing is, what if we just wait, see when it comes back,
Stake out.
and then right when it leaves again, then we take it.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Because I can turn into something. Maybe I can turn into like a flying thing, and then right when it leaves, I can go in there and grab the egg and then fly back.
Yeah, just so you know, there are still trees at this height. So you have a lot of different creatures that live in the mountains, and you have seen little birds, but also like hawks and even a few eagles.
So I vote that we hide somewhere and wait for it to come back, and then figure out what lays a bunch of different colored eggs.
So I'm just gonna find a spot near the nest immediately, like while they're talking, and cover myself with rocks and dirt and sort of disappear.
You're gonna use nature's mantle?
Yes, with my nature's mantle.
May I ask? Because remember that this isn't just like 20 feet away from where you guys are.
Yes.
This is like an hour of climbing. So, are you gonna go ahead without everybody?
No. Although I would like to, I would rather live.
Okay.
Can we just go hide by the nest, guys?
I mean, it's totally up to you guys. Like, if you want to go like halfway up and find a hiding spot, or if you want to go all the way up and try to hide, or if you don't want to go up at all and you just want to keep on using plasma, or if you want to send the zombies up.
I mean,
How about that?
Then the children.
I can turn into a bird for a while, but I don't know how long it's going to be until it shows up. It could be all day. It could be a couple of days. I don't know. So if we want to go up there, we can all go up there and we can hide. And then a little later, I can turn into like a bird or something. And then just pretend that I'm just normal bird.
Okay.
Who's just chilling out.
So you guys begin going up the path?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obstinatus, are you telling the children to stay? They're not exactly stealthy when they walk.
Yeah, they should probably stay then.
Okay. So you guys go up. It is quite a hike. I mean, it's just a hike. Like you're going on an incline, and it kind of weaves back around and through mountainous areas, and at certain points you're kind of using some of the trees that grow along the mountain as the incline becomes more steep, and you make your way up after about an hour, and you get to this peak where there's only a few trees. It's very sparse, and you see the outcropping that plasma indicated, and you see a cave that kind of leads into the mountain right outside. So imagine that there's like a short path with a couple sparse trees and this outcropping with rocks where you see this huge nest that it looks like it's been made out of, grass and branches and leaves. And you see about 15 feet away from that is this cave opening. The cave opening is pretty significant in size. About the same size as the cave from which you guys, or in which you stayed after defeating the Etten. Make stealth checks for those of you who are trying to approach stealthily and or hide. And then DJ, after that, tell me how your ability works.
Okay.
I got an 8.
Lily, I printed it out for you. It's on your sheet.
Okay, so Obstinatus, you are not very stealthy, but you also don't see anything or hear anything around that would seem to be a threat. Let's see, Talos, what are you at?
13.
Okay, all right. You kind of are approaching quietly. Skepsi?
15.
Okay, and Skjorn?
What was your original? Like
20.
unnatural 20.
Oh,
Yeah,
good. Now, how does this ability work where you're concealing your...
So I just need to make sure I have access to like materials nearby. This cloak shifts colors and textures to blend with the terrain surrounding you. While wearing this cloak, you can use it as a spell casting focus While you're in an area that is lightly obstructed, you can hide as a bonus action, even if you are being directly observed.
Nice. So you kind of scoop up leaves, branches, debris from around the area, and kind of make your ghillie suit, function a little more effectively, and you creep up towards the nest. Inside of the nest, you indeed see 5 eggs, and these are decent-sized eggs. Okay, they're like not quite like a big watermelon, but like somewhere in between like a melon and a small watermelon, but more egg-shaped. The eggs specifically, yes, like a balloon. Perfect. Exactly. Well played. You know what, DJ? You get an inspiration point for that. You find these balloon-sized eggs. You see that there is a black one, and it's a dull black. It's not shiny, and it has scales that are a little more pointed and edged. You see a blue egg, kind of like a cobalt deep blue, but around the scales, it's almost like a cyan. So it's almost like highlighted. Each of the scales on this egg are highlighted. Okay. You see a green egg, which is scaled, and it also very much reminds you of the dragon that you and Obstinatus hunted for a while. It's the scales, although much smaller, have a kind of a glowing, not glowing, but like a sparkly kind of iridescent sort of green coating over a deeper green and duller green. You see a white egg, and this doesn't have scales like the others. It looks more like it's got this white kind of shell with like blue lines kind of going through it, almost like it's cracked in 1,000 places, but it's not cracked. You know what I mean? So it's like a solid white shell with like really light blue, almost cyan, slightly iridescent crack lines, a pattern all over it. And the last one you see looks almost like man-made in a way. It's pure silver, like actual, like it looks like it's silver. So you see these 5 eggs are in this nest. The rest of you guys go ahead and make perception checks.
So roughly how far away is it, like, from us and the eggs?
So the only one right up on the nest able to see into it right now is Skjorn. You guys are kind of about 10 feet back in different kind of hiding positions, let's say. And then about 15 feet away from the nest is the opening to the cave.
I got a 15.
15?
Sorry.
Okay.
17.
I also got 17.
Okay. You guys that are up in this outcropping do not hear or see anything around. The only thing that you haven't explored is the cave behind you.
Can I send plasma into the cave?
Sure.
Okay, epic.
Remind me, does plasma have dark? It's dark. So
Plasma has dark vision. I don't have dark vision.
Okay. So plasma goes into the cave, comes back like a minute later, and is like, it's like, Master, there is a farm inside that cave. It's like, there are nests and animals and cages. It's like a farm.
That sounds awesome. Can I whisper this information to my compadres? I feel like Skjorn would be very interested in this information.
I'm
Sir,
just gonna peek up a little bit, like some rocks and stuff fall over. I'm like, animals in cages.
What kind of animals?
many animals: hogs, cows, horses, chickens, some kind of buffaloes.
Are we greedy if we take this?
Who has nature?
Nobody.
Who
Yeah,
has
I think-
survival?
That was the.
Roll.
I have
Go ahead and make a survival check.
I got survived.
21.
You're like, yeah. There's no reasonable explanation why any of those domesticated types of animals or wild animals would be 1,000 feet up in a mountain cave.
It seems kind of cruel.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not even sure how they would physically get up here.
Yeah, I don't know how. They can't climb. Somebody must have had to, like, drag them up here or something. But that also begs the question, which stupid egg are we supposed to get? She said take one egg. Are there a bunch of eggs in there? There's 5
Really?
here.
Personality
All right.
There's
test.
a billion in there.
There are 5 eggs. There's a black dragon, black
A
dragon
black-
egg. There's a blue dragon egg, a green dragon egg, a white dragon egg, and a silver dragon egg. So
Yeah, but which dragon?
those are the 5 eggs that are in the nest.
I feel like the silver stands out the most.
Which color dragon is usually the nicest dragon?
I have been taught that the metallic shiny dragons are the nice ones. Sometimes they're crazy nice, sometimes they're super stern. But I've never met a like plain color dragon that was nice. They've always
Where's
been
my
murderers.
phone?
Yeah, I thought silver dragons were kind of cash money, but I don't remember 100%, so I'd need... Because green
Is she gonna
dragons...
eat the egg? I don't want to just give it to her. She's gonna go, all right.
I think blue ones are alright. I thought red were pretty nasty. Green were also kind of nasty. Black I honestly don't remember, but I don't think they're very nice. So silver would probably be our best bet.
I didn't feel the need
Yeah.
to speak.
Plasma goes on to tell you that there are goats, sheep. There's a whole bunch of animals in this
Nothing
cave.
says we can't check on the well-being of the animals and then take the egg.
But what if our homie comes back?
But they're all different dragon eggs.
It's gonna be 5
Have you
dragons.
ever? Are there 5 dragons? Do you think they're all gonna come back, or do you think that somebody just took
That's
these
what the
eggs
beast
and
is
put them
saying.
up here, and that nobody's gonna come?
I don't know if I want to take that risk though.
I want to figure out why there's a farm up here.
I think we should stick around and watch before we take anything.
Yeah, and I think
What
we
if
should.
people who have dark vision go into the cave?
That- I feel like that's just a little risky, just a little bit.
I want to check on the animals though.
What if we just stayed overnight and then checked on them tomorrow?
She didn't say how fast we had to do this.
She didn't, and I think it'd be a better idea if we stayed overnight, because if something lives here, it's probably going to come back at some point during the day or night, so we'll see it.
I
And
thought
then
the
we'll
point
find
was
out.
to avoid whatever creature.
'Cause
Yeah,
But we still want to see it. We don't, unless it's like a weird hybrid that laid all these eggs at once. I don't know what's going on here. This is crazy.
isn't there like a dragon that has like 5 heads? That's a thing, right?
That is a
Oh no!
Wait, that's a thing. I read about that. There's a dragon that has 5 heads, and it's really evil, I'm pretty sure. And I don't remember its name.
Can I speak out of character? Because you're definitely
Yeah.
talking about Tiamat. the
Yeah,
queen
you
of
can
dragons.
speak out of turn because the
But she doesn't have a silver head. She has.
queen of
Okay.
the chromatic dragons does not
Yeah.
exist in my original world. So you can all breathe a sigh of relief that it is not.
She's like, I just want you to get one egg, and it's Tiamat's lair.
mean, I know you guys are level 8, but that would be cruel.
That'd be really funny
That
though.
Storied Sojourns would just end.
It's over.
So yeah, you can exclude Tiamat from the possible threats.
Thank God. Okay.
So do
Yeah.
you guys does anyone stealth into the cave?
I think we should wait outside the cave until something goes in there.
If somebody wants to try to stealth in the cave, I can cast enhance ability.
Well,
You could have advantage on dexterity checks.
when do we think that this thing is gonna come back? Are we thinking night? Because what if I go into the cave and I make myself look like a pig or something, and I just chill there and nobody can figure out it's me?
But what if they're coming to eat the animals?
Then I turn into a bat and I go, and then I leave. Really
Imagine
quickly.
you're taking out a pig to eat and it turns into a lion and just runs away.
But I can do it for like a couple hours, but only so.
Well, remember that it took about an hour to get up here, and you guys left after lunch, so I'm going to say it's about 1 in the afternoon-ish, around there.
But if we're thinking, I don't know much about, I don't know what's going to come in this cave, but usually things go out during the day and then they come back at night. So maybe at night I could turn into something. And then do a stakeout mission.
Pig stakeout. Cow stakeout.
I don't know. That's up to you guys.
Stakeout.
I'd like to err on the side of caution, but that could work.
So if you were going to hide, are you saying you would hide up here, or would you go back down the path? What's your thought?
Well, it took us an hour to get up here. And if I'm gonna go in the cave, then I probably would want you guys to be closer than an hour away from me.
That's a very good point.
That is reasonable.
So maybe we should try to hide up here. But I don't know where we would hide.
Skepsi, make an Arcana roll.
Yeah, we're gonna that with my dice. We're so bad. This one was 17.
You're not an expert yet on the Artificer's uses of dragon eggs, but you're pretty sure that each one of these eggs is worth a fortune, like tens of thousands of gold each. Just you're very confident that it's worth a lot. You have no idea of its actual value, but like you feel like if you walked into Ohiro and sold this egg to someone, that you could fetch thousands of gold. I'm just telling you that because that is a thing that would be maybe something that you might know in your wheelhouse for the value of rare things that could conceivably be used in magical applications.
I mean, theoretically, if you want to think on a intellectual basis, think about the value of these eggs and think about the value of the information we are receiving. 5 answers to questions, which for the most part that we've already heard have been substantially what we would call vague in the educational department, or a very clearly dragon's egg, which could fetch thousands of gold pieces.
Are you saying that we should steal all the eggs?
I am not saying we steal.
Are we gonna really cross Freaky Witch Lady? That seems like a bad idea.
I feel like we could do
Well, I personally don't care about either of those things. I
care about
don't
the
like
answers.
money, and I have no questions that she could answer for me that I would want to hear the answer to.
You don't care about the orb? Am I the only one that cares about the orb?
I mean, I guess so, but like, I don't know.
Skjorn, what are you doing during this time?
it.
Are you still
I'm-
by the eggs, by the nest, or have you gone by the elk?
I'm still just hunkering down. I'm kind of just sitting there, like every once in a while, my ear flicks like a cow. That's about it.
So occasionally you guys hear animals from in the cave. Like you hear a mooing periodically. You hear goats. You hear hogs. You hear these animals. If I had like an animal soundtrack right now, maybe I'll do that in post and I'll just add like 30 sounds consecutively just to be like an entire farm soundtrack. But that's what you hear. Like
I feel like-
a lot of animals, not just like a couple of each.
I really do want to talk to those, because I can talk to them. I can figure out why they're up here.
If you
You'll have a
feel okay
conversation,
doing
chat
it,
him up.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
I
agree.
can go in there, and then I can talk to them, and then I can turn into a spider, and they'll never find me.
Do you have dark vision? Remind me.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't even need to take a torch in. Do you go?
Do you guys want me to go?
Yes.
Because I want to go in, but if we're gonna get attacked by a 5-headed dragon farmer, then maybe I don't want to leave you all alone outside.
DJ, let's start a metal band called Five-Headed Dragon Farm. All right.
up to you, Talos.
What is your passive perception, Talos?
Hold on, let me check. My passive perception is 18.
That's good enough. You begin creeping in to the cave. You notice there are some tracks. They are not human. They are large. And as you're looking at the tracks, you look at your feet. They're kind of like your feet. They're like paws, but much bigger.
Hmm.
So you see these tracks, and as you go into the cave, your eyes adjust, your dark vision kicks in. You see a huge cavern. This thing must run the scope of this level of the mountain. It's like a football field inside of a cave. And there are these trees that are kind of rudely constructed to create pens. And in each of these pens are dozens of animals, cows. You see like bison, you see pigs, goats, sheep. You even see like chickens in a pen. Just a plethora of animals. Horses. And it goes, like I said, like for the distance. As you're exploring this in the kind of the far end, when you get to the very end, there's an area without any animal pens, and it's kind of like a rocky interior kind of like ledge, almost like a stage, right? But like the rock goes up a little bit and it's a little bit above everything, and you see like a bunch of like furs layered almost like bedding, but nothing's there, nothing's hanging out there.
When I passed by the footprints, could I tell how old they were?
Probably recent, like from this morning maybe, or from the night before. You're not really sure.
Let's see. If they're from this morning and I don't see anybody in the bed, I will... Which are the animals that are closest to the entrance of the cave?
The big ones, the cows and the bison. Make a, let's see. I think since you noticed that, make a survival check.
Okie dokie. That is not natural 20.
Okay. In addition to the large paw prints that are very similar to yours, you see large hoof prints. Not unlike Skepsi's, but way larger.
And Talos would Talos know of any creatures that might leave?
You can make an Arcana check.
That's a 4.
Yeah, it's strange. It's very
Okay.
odd.
Okay. Then
Do you want to investigate anything specifically within each of these animal groups or interact with them, or what are you doing now that
Well,
you've scoped out the whole setup?
I guess I want to look and just get a general lay of, like, are they all just in a pen standing there? Is there anything weird about them?
They're kind of panicky, like they don't like being there. And like when you walk by, they kind of acknowledge your existence by making their respective animal noises at you.
Okay, but there's nothing like, they don't look weird, they're not mutated or any weird stuff.
It's hard to tell in the hog pen. There are so many hogs in there that it's kind of hard to see everything. But you could look, like if you went in, you feel like if you went in for a closer look, you could maybe investigate something. But it seems to be like there are quite a few hogs.
Let's see. Okay. I will go to the hog pen then and take a look around quickly.
All right, make a perception check.
That is a not natural 20.
All right, you're looking at the hogs. They are so packed in, and they're just covered in their own filth, right? Like it's just, the smell even is disgusting. There's not a lot of airflow in this cave, in case you didn't figure that out. So just imagine a farm with no fresh air. It looks like there's just a pile of like refuse food that has been tossed into this pen. And it looks kind of like in the front of each pen, there's a bunch of hay that was, like maybe it looks like it was gathered from farms or something and just dumped into each of these pens for the animals to feed on. But as you're looking at the hog pen, you hear a voice go, "Help me, help me."
Where is it coming from?
It's coming from like the back of the hog pen, like 20 yards away.
Okay, is there a way to go around the pen? Or
You
is it
could
like
walk
lined
along
up?
the fence post between the two pens.
Yeah, I'll do that and try to figure out where the voice is coming from.
Okay. So as you make an acrobatics check, to be fair, you're kind of like balancing on a fence as you're walking across.
Acrobatics? Okay. That's 15.
Good enough. It would have been funny if you fell in a bunch of pig shit. But you traverse the fence and you're kind of going along and you get toward the back, and your eyes, using your dark vision, you scan across the back and you see a very thin, like emaciated man who looks like just ragged and covered in like pig crap and mud, and he's like scrawny and very weak looking, like leaning up against the back wall, and he just looks like a normal like Kamina, and he's like he's like looking out, and clearly he doesn't have dark vision, but he's like, "Whoever's there, please help me, help, please."
Don't worry. I'm not gonna hurt you. Who are you? What are you doing here? What is all of this? Do you know
My
what
name
you
is
are?
Hamaris. My name is Hamaris. I'm a villager. I was taken by the creature at night. It raided my farm and took all of my animals and me with it.
What creature? The one that left all those weird footprints outside?
Yes,
Do you know what it is?
I do not know. It is a creature with many heads and wings.
Ew.
Do you know how long you've been here?
Several days, perhaps a week. I have only had a few scraps, whatever I could get from the pigs.
Okay, and does this creature, you've been here a couple days, does it come at night in here, or does it...
Yes,
Okay.
it leaves in the day and returns with more animals at night. Sometimes it comes back in the middle of the day to drop more off and then goes out again. I only know this by the light that comes through the cave entrance. One time I tried to escape, and it came back. I had to run back in here and hide amongst the pigs. My left leg is broken. I can't climb down. Please, could you help me?
Yes, but first, do you know what this thing is doing with all of these animals? Is it just keeping them here?
I do not know. The raids began in my area some weeks ago.
Okay, well, I'm gonna cast Healing Word at first level
Okay.
on this guy, so he gets ability modifier. He gets 9 hit points.
Okay. He feels invigorated, and you see he kind of stands up, but he's still limping. His leg's not mended. So he kind of drags his leg over and he makes it to the fence. So he's about like 10 feet away from you. And again, he's like, the only light he has is like the diminished light coming through from the cave. So he can't really see you, but he's feeling his way along the fence. And he's like, how can we get out?
I will pick him up, because I'm a big lion, and I will beeline for the exit of the cave.
Okay. So you kind of guide him out, you help him over the fence.
Yeah,
and
I'm just picking him up like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, and then you pick him up and you get out. The rest of you guys see Talos emerge with a very just dirty, disheveled peasant man. And he seems like weak, and Talos sets him down, and the man is like, do you have water? And you see his eyes, like it's as if he hasn't seen daylight in numerous days, and he's kind of like shading his eyes, and he looks up around at you, and he's like, thank you for saving me. He's like, is the creature near? We cannot stay here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Water! Oh.
What kind of creature is this? Were you able to decipher anything, Talos?
It has wings and flies. It has many heads. I did not see it well, but I heard it roar like a lion.
I saw prints like my paws, but way bigger, and then I saw prints like your feet, Skepsi, but a lot bigger.
Can I attempt an Arcana check based on this information?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I too?
Yes.
Awesome.
11 plus 4. That's 18.
Also an 18.
As Talos describes this information to you, you both turn to look at each other. Skepsi, you, having grown up in Ohiro, a large city, have heard of mythological creatures that exist on the hazardous continent of Chamenos. Your father told you once about these strange demon-spawned abominations that monstrously and viciously take whatever they wish with the bearings of multiple animals. And you too, Obstinatus, have heard of creatures with these features that are able to fly, that have the abilities and appearances and heads of dragons and lions and rams. And it is at this time that you realize this. You look at each other, and at the same time, you both say chimera. And that is where we'll end this episode of Storied Sojourns. Tune in and find out what happens on the next episode as the cave of the chimera is revealed. As always, thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you click on that notifications bell so you don't miss a single episode. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Well, hello, it's me, Wizzy. I'm back once again to remind you to subscribe and click on the notifications button, and also watch videos that are over there. And then don't forget to tune in to the next episode of whatever show you are just watching, and crafting videos and DM tips and pro tips for vlogging and all sorts of gaming things.